that came with healthcare when it came to Black and brown communities. But I told you last week that my challenge as a physician now is to try to eradicate some of the comorbid conditions that Black and brown communities face, like hypertension, obesity, and diabetes. Yeah. And in doing this, I'm hoping to have better outcomes when certain disease patterns come along. I want us to meet the challenge and then overcome it, and not have to worry about comorbid conditions when we're fighting disease patterns. And so last week I started talking about diet and exercise. Yeah. So this week I wanted to talk about sleep, because diet and exercise go hand in hand with sleep. And there has been multiple studies done that show that people that don't get enough sleep are at risk for diabetes and hypertension and obesity. And so sleep is such an essential part of our health and well-being that I wanted to bring it up here. So for your sleep habits, it's very, very important that we have a regular sleep schedule. I know many of us have different schedules, different work schedules, maybe parents, or maybe taking care of other people. Or we just
have Human Development Organization dealing with the COVID virus 19. All right, with the sister doctor talking about COVID virus from last week. Now,
schedule 5 days a week, and then the weekends may be off. But for 7 days a week, you really want to try to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. Next, you want to try really to have a relaxation routine prior to bedtime. A lot of people will begin to use their phones prior to bed or use their laptops prior to bed, and that's not healthy. You really want to do something like read a book, meditate, stretch, take a shower or a bath, because that actually slows your brain down and prepares your body for sleep. Next, you want to avoid stimulants. So you don't want to drink caffeine, you don't want to drink tea, sugary drinks. You want to make sure that you stay away from alcohol, and you just go to bed. Water is probably the best drink you could drink ever. And if you guys know me, you know that's what I tend to drink all the time. And then you want a good sleep environment. You want to make sure that your bedroom is clean and tidy, and that you don't have clutter around your bed, because that's where you're trying to take peace and refuge. Next, you want to block out noise and light. And now, for some of us who live in the city, it may be difficult to block out some of the noises, but if you can, do your best to block out noise and light, because both of those things can actually interrupt your sleep at nighttime. They can prevent you from falling asleep and also interrupt your sleep. Next, you only want to use your bed for sleep. A lot of times, many of us will study in our beds, we'll talk on the phone in our beds, play video games in our beds, and that's not appropriate. Your bed should be just for sleeping, so that your brain realizes when your body hits the bed, it's time to sleep, and that's the only thing you use your bed for. Next, you want to do exercise. As we talked about last week, I gave you some nice exercises to start off with for balance and stretching, and I'm going to give you some more things in the future. But exercise is always great, and you also want to make sure you go outside during the daytime so that you're exposed to sunlight. We have something called an circadian rhythm, and it's dependent on light. And so you want to be outside in the daylight and inside at nighttime as your body prepares to sleep. And then last but not least, we want to eat well. So we talked about eating healthy last week and our portion sizes and what should be on our plates. But eating healthy is also a great way to maintain healthy sleep habits. So church, with all these things, so we did diet and exercise. This week is sleep. So here are some ideas for healthy sleep habits. I hope you run with them and sleep well. And with that, amen.
Amen. Amen. God bless you. Dr. Tim?
Well, Bishop,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Ajo, I repent. I mean, what
What can we say?
what to say? I mean, am I even permitted to speak in this space?
You and me both.
Yeah, Dr. Ajo, can y'all pray for our brother? I mean, I'm struggling. But I'm gonna do better, okay?
Praise him.
alert today to draw our attentions to a question, okay? And this is like a real question. So get ready, if you can, in the chat to respond, all right? Okay. To respond in the chat. Here's the question. Somebody read that question out loud, please.
Wow. Wow. What are you reading?
Can you read it again? I can hardly hear you.
What are you reading?
What are you reading?
Oh my God.
What are you reading? Now listen, people know that I'm an MPCA kid, right? So, even before that, in the Eaton household, we always, Mom, I could think about our trips to the library, all of the books that were around us all of the time. That was a blessing. But I don't always read the stuff that I want to read, but most of the time I'm reading the stuff that I have to read. But I am a voracious reader, and I think that's characteristic of Mount Pleasant Academy kids. Isn't that the case, Dr. Ajo, Sahai, and Sharia are avid readers?
Amen.
Yes, and they currently have been, what are you guys up to, 12 books? My mother has been providing them with books the whole summer.
Hallelujah.
So they do 4 books a week.
So 4 books a week. So wow, that's a real question. And I want you to begin to put in the chat what you're reading, if you're comfortable. Just put the name of a book that you're reading in the chat. I think it's useful in our community for us to be recommending good reading to each other. Why is that? Well, good readers, people who read strong things, learn about a lot of different things, right? They have a broader sense of what's in their sphere of influence, about explaining phenomena. Intellectual curiosity is raised. There's also a kind of a self-love, I think, of when people take time to read. I know we're watching a lot of Netflix series, and I'm doing that too, right? But my standard is, I think that's beneath the Ajo family. I try to do a book a week. The girls are doing 4 books, but and sometimes I don't do the book a week. But I want to ask our family to think seriously about what we're reading. And I just wanted to, in my own way, share with you a couple of things that I've been reading over the last couple of months. My oldest daughter recommended this book, It Didn't Start With You. And I believe Dr. Kelly's on the line. How inherited family trauma shapes who we are and how to end the cycle. And I think this is really, really critical because there's so much about how we operate, how we sleep, Dr. Ajo, how we organize ourselves, how we eat, how we exercise, that is embedded in how we are oriented as people and families. So I think that is really critical. But it doesn't have to always be heavy stuff. I just finished a book by an African-American woman author named Kylie Reed called Such a Fun Age. Really powerful story about a babysitter, a black woman that works for a white family in the 21st century. And it is so interesting and well written and deep. But it was a light read, but interesting, and I wanted to support that sister who's doing her writing and developing her career. And family, you don't always have to read actually with your eyes, although I think that's important. I've really gotten into audiobooks. In fact, this past week I had a meeting with executives at Audible. Just so you know, they're coming out with the autobiography of Malcolm X, read by Lawrence Fishburne. So they are trying to work with our university so that they can use it in several of our classes and get some of our students to explore the pedagogy of audio